Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my recap for Pokémon Journeys episode 130, the Finals 2, Toyed With. This was the 1215th episode of the Pokemon anime and the second part of Ash and Leon's climactic battle in the Masters EX Tournament Finals. Let's break it down. The episode picks up right where we left off, with both Ash and Leon down one Pokemon. Leon is sticking with his Mr. Rime, who currently has Psychic Terrain set up and an Icy Battlefield on top of that. Ash sends out Sirfetch'd as his next Pokemon, which Leon is shocked to see, given that it's weak against Psychic types. Ash doesn't seem worried about that. He even claims that Sirfetch'd is something that only it can do, and they immediately launch into a Fury Cutter barrage, which Mr. Rime counters. Since Fury Cutter just increases in power, Sirfetch'd is eventually able to break through and land some super effective damage. Next, it spins its whole body into a brutal swing, but Mr. Rime is ready for it, catching Sirfetch'd dead in its tracks and immediately using Expanding Force, which is still supercharged thanks to the Psychic Terrain. Sirfetch'd is down, but not out, although it has lost its shield for the moment, which Leon capitalizes on by calling for Triple Axle, and all three attacks land. Leon goes for another Expanding Force, but Sirfetch'd uses Detect to get out of there. Then, using its Leak, Sirfetch'd launches itself over towards its shield, and it gets there just in time to block another Triple Axle. It's time for whatever secret plan Ash had in mind before, and he calls for another Fury Cutter, but Leon and Mr. Rime are ready to defend against it again. However, Ash doesn't want to attack Mr. Rime. He actually tells Sirfetch'd to attack the battlefield, and it was hilarious watching Mr. Rime just stand there like, WTF is this guy doing? But Sirfetch'd Fury Cutter breaks through the Psychic Terrain. Cynthia comments on how a Bug-type move can break through a Psychic-type move, and it's not like this is the first time Ash has done something like this. Remember when he used X-Scissor to break Valerie's Trick Room back in XY? Spoiler alert for my upcoming ranking of Ash's Kalos gym battles, I loved that moment, and I really like this one too. Having pulled off this impressive tactic, Ash switches Sirfetch'd out, and we see this weird transition scene, which I guess is inside Pokeball World or something like that, because Ash is sending Lucario in, and he doesn't waste any time with Mega Evolving it. We cut to a very interesting watch party. At various points throughout this battle, we saw some people watching on, whether it was back at Oak's lab, or even Wickstrom, who of course was brought to tears by Sirfetch'd's chivalrous performance. Lucario is fired up. Its aura is so powerful that it nearly sends everyone in the stadium flying. They made a big deal about this, and a small detail I picked up on was that we even saw some Galar particles appearing because of all this energy. Anyways, more on that later. For now, let's focus on Mr. Rime dodging a bullet punch and landing its own attack in Triple Axle, which hits Lucario over and over again, although it's not very effective type-wise. Ash tells Lucario to just calm down and sense Mr. Rime using its aura. We've seen Ash do this type of thing all the time in the past, and it basically always works. And sure enough, Lucario was able to dodge Mr. Rime's next Triple Axle and blast it with a dead-on Aura Sphere. This is enough to knock Mr. Rime out, which also returns the battlefield back to normal for some reason. Leon is now down to only 4 Pokemon remaining, while Ash still has 5, although 3 of them are not exactly at full health. Leon sends out Dragapult as his next Pokemon, and Ash has Lucario close in while using Double Team, and follows it up with Bullet Punch, which hits. Leon stays calm though, and has Dragapult blast Lucario with a super effective Flamethrower. Ash doesn't like the way this is going and switches Lucario out, making this the first time in the history of the anime that a Mega Evolved Pokemon has been switched out during a battle. Ash sends Dracovish out next, immediately telling it to charge in with Dragon Rush. Leon calls for Dragon Darts, and Dragapult sends its 2 Dreepy friends flying, which not only breaks up the Dragon Rush, but also lands some serious damage on Dracovish. However, Dracovish not only survives, but this attack also awakens something in Dracovish, and we see the scales on his torso start to glow and expand. I have absolutely no idea what is going on here. Seemingly neither does anybody else, but the resident archaeologist Cynthia seems to think that this is some long dormant power that's been held within Dracovish. Leon's not just going to sit around and wait to find out what's going on though, instead he just calls for a Thunderbolt. He has Dragapult close in to finish things up, but this was a huge mistake because the glowing scales latch onto Dragapult, trapping it and leaving it totally vulnerable. Ash takes advantage and uses Vicious Rend, but Leon knows that Dragapult's tail is still free, so he calls for Dragon Tail. Ash gets in some more damage with Ice Fang, but it still can't stop the Dragon Tail from reaching it. Not only does this cause damage, but it also sends Dracovish back into its Pokeball, which is interesting since Dragon Tail first debuted way back in episode 71 of the Best Wishes series, but it's taken 487 episodes for its secondary ability to actually activate, even though in the games, Dragon Tail always makes the target switch out. Anyways, Dragonite is the one brought out unexpectedly, but neither trainer hesitates, with Leon calling for Dragon Darts while Ash blocks with Dragon Dance, but even with the speed boost, Dragonite still can't hit the Dreepy with Dragon Claw. Frustrated, Ash and Dragonite just close in for another attack, which Dragapult takes advantage of and lands another Dragon Tail, sending Dragonite out of the battle and Mega Lucario back in. I wonder if Pikachu Pikachu is just like exempt from being switched in this way since he's already out of his Pokeball. Ash takes a deep breath and collects himself before having Lucario charge in with Bullet Punch. Dragapult recovers and launches a Thunderbolt, which Lucario fights off with Reversal, and yeah, I knew I was using this for a thumbnail as soon as I saw it. Ash calls for another Bullet Punch, but Lucario can't move. Turns out that last Thunderbolt paralyzed it. Wow, it's like every secondary effect is guaranteed to activate in this battle, huh? Leon takes advantage of this by calling for another Flamethrower, and oh boy, this practically burns Lucario to a crisp, and for the first time since evolving into Lucario, it's knocked out. Leon starts trash-talking Ash, saying that his Dragapult is still raring to go, which I kinda doubt given how much damage is taken, but whatever, Leon. Ash sends Dragonite back into the match, and a Hurricane versus Thunderbolt clash is basically cancelled out. They didn't say it in this moment, but Dragapult was basically using another variant of Counter Shield, at least it played out that way. Ash tells Dragonite to fly high into the sky, and Leon has Dragapult send Dragon Darts after it. This doesn't phase Ash, who calls for Draco Meteor. Leon has Dragapult charge towards it, dodging the Draco Meteor along the way. The Dreepy are unable to dodge, leaving Dragapult slightly vulnerable as it approaches Dragonite. Ash tells Dragonite to grab Dragapult, and it even endures a Thunderbolt as it holds on, and as they plummet towards the ground, Ash calls for Dragonite Meteor, the technique that they came up with in that practice battle against Paul back at Oak's lab. They slam into the ground with a ton of force behind the impact, and while Dragonite is still standing, Dragapult isn't, meaning that Ash has pulled ahead once again, now leading with 4 Pokemon remaining to Leon's 3. Nice to see Dragonite get another KO after going so long without one. Never thought I'd be saying that if I'm being honest. Leon is still confident though, saying that all 4 of Ash's remaining Pokemon have taken damage already, and Leon sends in Rillaboom out next. Oh man, not this powerhouse. We'll have to wait and see how Ash deals with it though, as this was where the episode came to a close. Really good second episode of this battle. I was captivated the entire time, wondering what was going to happen next. We didn't see Leon switch out his Pokemon this entire episode. Instead, this was just the story of how Ash was going to take down Mr. Rime and Dragapult. I have to say, I feel like this battle is more or less playing out how I expected it to so far. Leon even pointed out at the end that most of Ash's team has taken damage already, and even before this battle started, I predicted that we might see a little bit of an Ash versus Drake theme, where Ash switches his Pokemon a lot and ultimately saves several of them for the final showdown. We'll talk more later about what I think might happen next, but for now, let's focus on what happened in this episode. It's interesting how Ash was given the ability to use all 3 of his battle mechanics, yet Gigantamax Gengar and Mega Lucario are his first 2 Pokemon to go down. Gigantamax Gengar certainly made an impact in the last episode, but Lucario kind of felt like it didn't really do a whole lot despite Mega evolving in this episode. With that said, I'm not shocked or disappointed in any way. To me, it was pretty obvious that the Cynthia battle was going to be Lucario's shining moment. Like, that was the climax of his character arc in terms of battling, so I expected Lucario to play a much smaller role in this battle, which is fine. On a similar note, we saw Dragonite be the sacrificial lamb to open the Cynthia battle, being the first Pokemon taken out to put Ash at an immediate disadvantage. This time around, Dragonite has already played a key role, and it's not finished just yet. Dracovish and Sirfetch'd are also battling well again. I mean, let's be honest, Ash is just battling well in general here. I think both trainers are fighting to their fullest, and that's why this is shaping up to be such a great battle. We could get nitpicky and say that Ash should have used another move besides Reversal to counter Thunderbolt, since then Lucario wouldn't have gotten paralyzed, but whatever. Leon shouldn't have had Dragapult charge in as often as he did either, as Ash made him pay both times that happened. I don't want to make any sweeping statements or conclusions just yet. I mean, the battle isn't over yet, so I'm not going to really compare it or rank it in relation to other battles until we actually see how it all plays out. Just another trivia note that I thought was worth mentioning, this was the first episode of Pokemon Journeys in which Go doesn't appear at all, including flashbacks, so maybe this was all the Go haters' favorite episode of this entire series. For me, it was a great episode with excellent battling, and for that, I'm giving this episode a 9 out of 10 rating. This was a pretty simple one for me to rate this week. I really like battling, and so when I get an episode full of really good battling, it makes my mind up pretty easily. Let's talk about what's going to happen next, and this preview didn't mess around. I mean, we literally see the face-off between G-Max Wildfire and 10 million volt Thunderbolt, which you'd think would be the final moments of this battle, but I don't think so. This preview also showed us Eternatus feeling some type of way and firing off a ton of energy, and my prediction is that Eternatus will release enough energy to allow both trainers an additional use of Dynamax, and eventually the battle will come down to Gigantamax Charizard versus Gigantamax Pikachu. What are your predictions though? I want to hear them down in the comments along with your thoughts about this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.